So, if you're a swimmer, I bet you know this feeling. That deep, nagging ache in your shoulder that just won't quit. It's one of the most common, most frustrating injuries in the sport, and it always brings up this huge question that, well, most of us get wrong. Let's dive in. And this is the classic pickle every swimmer finds themselves in, right? One person tells you, get out of the water, rest up. Someone else says, tough it out, you gotta keep training. So, what does the science actually say? Well, turns out the answer isn't what you'd expect. And both of those common pieces of advice, they could be making things a whole lot worse. And look, this isn't just some fringe issue. Get a load of this number. According to MRI studies, a staggering 91% of elite adolescent swimmers will deal with shoulder pain. 91! It's practically an epidemic in this sport, which makes finding the right way to recover absolutely critical. Okay, so let's get into it and really break down the science behind this injury. To solve the problem, we first have to understand what swimmer's shoulder even is, because it's not just one thing. Medically speaking, it's really a whole spectrum of overuse injuries. The main culprits are tendinopathy and impingement. Basically, your rotator cuff tendons are getting pinched or inflamed from the mind-boggling number of strokes you take. We're talking 40 to 60,000 strokes a week for elite swimmers. It's the classic case of too much load, too often, without enough time to heal. Okay, so that brings us right back to our big question, rest or push through. We're about to bust the myth of these two extremes and show you why that all-or-nothing approach can seriously stall your recovery, or worse, lead to a chronic injury. It's really a catch-22. You've got complete rest on one hand, which causes your muscles to weaken, that's called deconditioning, and it completely ignores the fact that tendons need some stress to heal properly. Then on the other hand, you've got the just swim through it mentality. Well, that just worsens the tendon damage and can turn a small problem into a long-term nightmare. See? Both extremes lead you down the wrong path. And this really says it all about the failure of the rest is best model. A major university review in 2021 found that taking a long break from swimming leads to a 50% chance that the injury comes right back as soon as you get in the water again. 50! That's a coin flip. And it's because the tendon never learned how to handle the load again. And on the flip side, the power through it mindset, just as dangerous. Research shows that big, sudden spikes in your training load can literally double your risk of getting hurt. And you know how swimmers are? We often ignore that mild pain, but that's a recipe for a chronic condition. Plus, high volume is directly linked to physical, unhealthy changes in the tendon itself. So, yeah, neither extreme works. Which leaves us with a question. What does? So if all is wrong and nothing is wrong, what's left? Well, the answer lies in the science of load management. It's all about finding that perfect Goldilocks zone. Not too much, not too little, but just the right amount of stress to actually stimulate healing. Okay, so the fancy scientific term for this is irritability-based load management. I know, it's a mouthful, but it's really just a way of saying, listen to your body. Pain is no longer this big red stop sign. Instead, it's your guide. The goal is to use those pain signals to find the perfect level of activity that tells your tendons, hey, time to remodel and get stronger. This chart here, it shows you that Goldilocks zone perfectly. It's called the acute to chronic workload ratio. If your recent training load is way below your average, you get weaker. If it spikes way too high, you're in the danger zone for injury. But if you keep it in that sweet spot right between 0.8 and 1.3, that's where the magic happens. That's where adaptation and healing occur. So how do you actually use this? Here's a simple model based on the science. In week 1, the moment you feel pain, cut your swimming volume in half, immediately, and focus on drills that don't stress the shoulder. Then, if your pain is low and stable, we're talking a 3 out of 10 or less, and it goes away within 24 hours, you can start slowly increasing your volume by about 10% each week. See? Pain becomes your data, not your enemy. All right, now for a really fascinating twist in this whole recovery story. It turns out that where you swim can make a massive difference. And I'm talking about cold water. It offers some really surprising therapeutic benefits that work perfectly with this load management strategy. Seriously, think of cold water as your recovery multi-tool. First, buoyancy unloads the joint. The cold itself provides natural pain relief, which is perfect for helping you find that pain-guided sweet spot. It also has an anti-inflammatory effect, and the pressure of the water helps reduce swelling. It's a win-win-win-win. And the effect of buoyancy is just incredible. When you're in water up to your neck, the load on your joints is reduced by 90%. 90! Let that sink in. This lets you keep your fitness up and your movement patterns sharp without all that damaging stress on your injured shoulder. Okay, so we've covered the science of load, we've talked about the amazing benefits of cold water. Now let's put all these pieces together into a clear, actionable plan that you can actually follow from day one of your injury all the way back to full strength. This timeline is your roadmap. In the first couple of weeks, it's all about calming things down, pain relief, gentle exercises. Then, from weeks 2 to 6, you start adding back some progressive resistance to rebuild that strength. And finally, after week 6, you can move on to more powerful, sport-specific stuff to get you ready for a full, safe return to the pool. And, of course, it goes without saying, right? The best way to recover from an injury is to never get it in the first place. The same principles apply. The research is clear. A consistent 12-week dryland program that focuses on shoulder stability can slash your injury risk by over a third. So you might be wondering, where is all this coming from? This isn't just one person's opinion or a single study that we found. No, this whole explainer is built on a really solid foundation of hard academic research. We're talking about dozens of university-led studies, huge meta-analyses, and systematic reviews published in the top scientific journals. It's really the consensus of scientists and clinicians from all over the world. And what's so cool about this is that it takes all this complex, top-tier research from higher education and applies it directly to a frustrating, real-life problem that affects so many of us. It's science being put to work to solve our actual problems. And if you're looking for more solutions just like this, practical, real-life remedies that are guided and proven by the absolute best academic research out there, the place you have to check out is academicjobs.com. It's a hub for connecting that cutting-edge knowledge with everyday challenges. So, we'll leave you with this to think about. Armed with everything you know now, how are you going to change your approach the next time you feel that first little twinge of pain in your shoulder? Are you ready to find your Goldilocks zone